It's February 2023 and the sun is shining and it's a great day. I just wanted to come on and give you my local update and how the market's been evolving over the past 30 days or 45 days or whatever it's been since the beginning of the year. And what I'll say is it's been a very, very active first quarter. And I know we're only halfway through it, but it's been busy. Home sellers are still very much in need. There are so many buyers who have decided to get off the fence and re-enter the market, and they have just sort of wrapped their heads around what interest rates are going to be. And probably more than anything, just sort of figured out how to afford a home and how to reallocate, and taken some time over the past 7 to 9 months to maybe work through that. And they're back in full force. They understand the interest rates where they are. They know that they're stabilizing. So some may even start looking at refinancing in the future, from the 7% that we were into a lower rate that could get into the fives, low fives by the end of this year. That's a really healthy place to be. And so I think that they've just kind of gotten their head around this is what it takes to not be a renter, where that is sort of the unknown, where the rent rates can go, and dive back into home ownership. Banks are also, oddly enough, adjusting their forecast. I know we've all heard the doom and gloom about how the markets are going to crash and everything's going to, lose 20% of their value and everything's going to revisit the 2008 Great Recession. And it's just not happening. And their forecasting now has been revised, where we may see a dip, and this is nationally 1 to 2%. Of a decrease of appreciation. But in our area, we're actually not. We're still expected to grow. And I think the latest numbers were right around 6%. That could be, pocketed, just so you know. That's not a broad stroke across the metro Atlanta area. However, our particular area, because inventory is still so low, there's just this major decrease where we have normal seasonality component of the beginning of the year is a little lower, and then you go up and the inventory increases. And then throughout the year it goes down a little bit and it goes down. Well, we have this major delta between what's normal pre-pandemic, even during the pandemic, and where we are today. There's a big decrease, and we'll put a graph up to show you that. We're really in desperate need of homes for sale. We've got the buyer pool, we just don't have the listings. And I understand for sellers, there are some reasons why they may decide not to sell, and part of that is they're sitting on a 2.5% interest rate or lower, and they just don't know that they want to jump into a 5% interest rate. There are other people who never refinanced during the pandemic. Maybe their value is too, not value, but like their payoffs or whatever they owed on it was too low, or maybe they just didn't care so much about it. They're still sitting at 5%. This is an easy transition between moving from one home then, where you have a lot of equity and a lot of just tappable cash, to be able to go and transition into something different, and your payment wouldn't be that significantly different in your world. You'd actually could have a lateral move, possibly. Then there's also, foreclosures aren't really a thing in the North Metro Atlanta market. We just don't really have that much to talk about there. However, if you read the news and you pay attention to the headlines, you see 67% of United States households believe that we're going to have a housing crash similar to what happened in 2008. And the numbers just aren't there to support it. But I wanted to make a special note to say that if you're sitting there hearing all the news and looking at the headlines and reading just into this and breaking down the reality, these are factual numbers when they say foreclosures are rising 115%. That's a factual headline information, but it's also very misleading, because that's 115% out of a 2021 moratorium. So there was 0, and when you're increasing to whatever the number is, 320,000, I think, 324,000 foreclosures in 2022. That's a lot of foreclosures, but that's nowhere near where we were in 2008, 2009, 2010, where we're at 2.9 million. And it's significantly under where we were in 2016, 17, 18, which was like 1.4 to 1 million. So we have a huge, it's 89% actually lower reduction in foreclosures historically than we've had, and I can't even tell you how long. So foreclosures are not existent, and I just want you to pay attention to the headlines. When they say these things, they can be factually true, but that does not mean that they aren't misleading. They very likely are. We're in a very stable market in terms of our home appreciation, our values, and our growth. We will continue to see home prices gained, and maybe greater than they should if more people don't decide to jump in the market and sell. Because that's really the biggest issue right now, is that we're really going to need more inventory to satisfy the buyer demand, because it's supply and demand, basic law of economics. If we don't get the buyers and the sellers to satisfy the demand, we're just going to continue to have this where we're going to keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. And home builders, new construction is a great opportunity for someone who's maybe in an existing home that wants to sell and wants something new. You may be able to get the interest rate you want or something you'd be very comfortable with for standing inventory, a new home without maintenance and all the other things that go with it. At least postponed maintenance for a while. But builders aren't just building specs and sitting on them. That's another reason why we're so far back in supply. That's kind of the market conditions. I will say one other thing. Since the last market update to today, last month we were sitting around 360, 370 homes for sale in our market, and right now we're at 288. So we've gone from 1.75 months of supply, and we're roughly at 1.25. So we lost half a month's supply of inventory over the past month because the buyers are back and we need more listings to supply. Anyway, that's the wrap.